Why do your favorite bands eventually suck? Now, before we go any further, I have learned from past Beard Files, so we are going to start putting a disclaimer. In the following commentary, I'm going to talk about some opinions and make broad, general, sweeping assumptions about possibly some musical acts, artists, and or bands that you probably hold dear to your heart. And if you do, and you happen to get butthurt, simply fill out this form, the butthurt form, and all will be well. So how come bands eventually suck? And by suck, I mean, you know, when you go to their live concert and you basically go, yeah, it's not the same as it was back in '96. Why is that? Could be several things and may not be a simple answer as you think. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to define suck, that's a technical term, as just not having it, you know, that thing where you're like, yeah, that's awesome. That makes you, pump your fists in the air, that energy, that thing. Now, it's easy to jump to age. Bands simply get older and maybe they just kind of get tired or get arthritis or something. Maybe, but that doesn't really apply to all bands either, because look at Rush. They're touring right now and they are kicking ass. Maybe it's because the bands get sober. You're not seriously suggesting that drugs help creativity, are you? Whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of our favorite artists are good when they're in turmoil and have serious drug addictions or alcohol problems or, I'm incredibly drunk right now. No, but seriously, maybe a band's initial fire comes from pain. We all know that creativity does fuel that fire, as it's a creative outlet for whatever you're feeling inside. Maybe over time, as you get older and maybe, you get a yacht and several cars and several houses and, that kind of thing. Maybe it's a little hard to be mad that your dad didn't really pay attention to you as a kid. And therefore, making your subject matter for your songs dry up. You have nothing to write about. How are you going to be super angry when you have all that happy stuff happening to you? Maybe this is also a reason why genre-specific bands seem to do a lot better than other genre-specific bands. For example, Dream Theater and Rush are still going very, very strong, even though they've been around a really long time. And you know it's coming. Metallica has been around just as long, certainly, as Dream Theater, and almost as long as Rush. But, well, no, not as long as Rush. Okay, Rush are just freaks. Let's just cut to the chase. Rush are amazing. My point is that the early Metallica material, all the way up through the 90s, was about inner turmoil and strife and relationship problems and the death of Cliff Burton. And then after that, you get a little older and maybe, it happens. Nothing to be ashamed about. And on the flip side of that coin, pop stars have much more longevity because they don't typically write their own songs, so they have a source from which to draw from, and they can just keep going and going and going. Rod Stewart, Elton John, I'm looking at you. So the pop artist's entire basis for performing is not centered on how they felt when they wrote that particular song. And maybe that's why a lot of the metal bands that we all know and love kind of go downhill eventually. Iron Maiden, for one, is still wonderful live, but it could be argued that they haven't released a really good album since Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Or, even Slayer. Whoa. I'm just saying, maybe metal bands should hire songwriters and not be so ashamed of it. Back in the day, bands didn't even last that long. Led Zeppelin was around for 11, 12 years, which is quite a long time when you think about other bands of that era. The Beatles were around for 10 years tops, if that, maybe 8, something like that. Casey and the Sunshine Band was around for, 5, 6 years. I'm sorry, did I say Casey and the Sunshine Band? I meant Foghat. AC/DC is another good example. They are old and they're tired, but since they really didn't talk about anything that personal, they talk about rock and roll and trains and chicks. And really, as they've proven, you can talk about that for 30 years. Of course, there are other factors involved in bands going downhill in a live performance sense and a songwriting sense. Band members change. Life happens. Things always happen. But really, when you boil it down to it, maybe it's the subject matter that really contributes in the end to the downfall of the band. What are your thoughts? Leave them down below in the comments, and maybe it'll turn into a part 2 of a Beard Files. I don't know. At any rate, you've been wonderful. I have been Fluff. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.